$1 million man always gets his way. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Hello.
Yes, buy our merch, bro. No sneak peeks for you guys. No sneak peeks. Pause it.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, guys.
Have my headphones on.
So, you guys got a little sneak peek of what we're about to jump into.
I didn't get it, so I'll still be surprised.
This shout out to the big homie, the
Wackator.
This is the Outworld, the Gray Tide.
Yeah.
Shout out to the big homie Wackator. Outworld is in Mortal Kombat. They call the place Outworld.
Oh,
it's
really?
like one of the dimensions in Mortal Kombat. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, we're going to be watching it together real soon. Stay tuned for the update video. Having said that, you got the lyrics?
I do.
Let's go! Talk
That's
about
right. You say holy moly all the time. Where's that shirt?
Yeah, I got a whole nother shirt. Thank you very much.
I
Whoever
know, it's
sent
so
it to me.
funny. I literally didn't realize how much we say that, especially you. Anyway, this song, this is such a weird thing. It was like a love-hate thing for me. I was like, I hate this song. Oh, I like this. I was like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I like this. And like the rating for the song in my mind was like ping-ponging. Boom, 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 all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, lyrically,
I'm
it
like,
was.
this is some Judas Priest shit right here where it's like,
What do you
no,
mean?
I hate this. Then I'm like, wait, yes, yes. This is very weird.
What did you start liking? What you know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I mean,
what-
like, there
What
was
parts
like
did
some.
you like? What parts did you not?
I can't even tell you. I mean, you'd have to watch the reaction. You can tell by my face. Sometimes I'm like, meh. Then I'm like getting into it. And I'm like, shoot, I'm getting into this one now. Then it did like another nosedive, and then it came back up, and like that part at the end where it was like,
Yeah,
like that. At first, I'm like, wait, okay, that's no, I'm not into this. Then all of a sudden, I got into
All
it.
the little math metally stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't describe it to you. I can't explain it to you. It's just it's a love-hate thing for me. I wouldn't listen to it again.
Really?
No, it wasn't like of that interest to me, but it was oddly satisfying and totally repulsive simultaneously.
Repulsive.
I don't know. I just had to go with a little bit of an extreme.
These guys, out of the twisted womb I crawl, the child of stone, tainted blood, and I am the chosen. I'm the
Hey, look,
ordained,
I just had a
the
baby
ordained of
4
God.
months ago. A twisted womb. That sounds so friggin' painful. Can
Oh.
you imagine birthing a baby out of a twisted womb?
Yeah, this guy, Wackator has some very, very interesting song selections. The last song we did was kind of like a mix of theology and science fiction.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
this one, I'm looking at the lyrics, and
It was the Rhapsody one, the Luca Trillis Rhapsody
Yeah.
of Michael the Archangel, in case anybody's like, what was his other
out
song?
of a twisted womb I crawl, the child of stone and tainted blood, and I am the chosen, I'm the ordained to the right hand of God. The meek will drench the altar.
I
Holy
know,
moly.
yeah.
It's a brilliant line, and he doesn't really realize how biblical that is, but I'll explain to you in a second. Suffer like me, run, run, run. All will drown beneath the gray tide. As flesh is... What did you have for that one? As flesh is town in the steel hail. That's torn. It should be torn, I'm sure. As flesh
Where?
is torn in the steel hail. This is...
Oh.
I got town here and you have town there, but I'm pretty sure it's torn. Flesh is torn by the steel hail, soul left to howl in the dark and the wind, and so the end. The many gods...
See, I thought it was as flesh is torn in the steel hall.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's hail, though. A lot more sensitive for hail. Huh? Souls
they
left to
always have
howl
to
in the
be
dark
right.
wind, and so the end. The many gods drawn to my side weave mighty spells, and for all time I dwell within the ether. Suffer like me, run, 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 and all will drown beneath the great tide. Smoking ashes drifting through the sky, 1,000 voices asking why. I couldn't get the translation of Anna Nakroth, which is very
I
interesting.
know, but it sounded cool.
There's a
the
band.
Anunnaki?
There's
Or
a
what?
band that's named this, like the
Oh, really?
Anna Nakroth or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll figure it out in the comment section soon, inshallah. Suffer like me, run, 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 and all will drown beneath the great tide. So it's there's a couple biblical references here. One is he's ordained at the right hand of God, which is the position that Christ occupies.
Right. Jesus.
So this guy is either remixing the gospel story, or again, just like in the other song, we're in a parallel universe, maybe where the Messiah, because this is a messianic figure, because he sits at the right hand of God and he suffers. So it's an alternate universe, though, because this guy isn't necessarily redeeming the world like Jesus did, which again, this might be a concept record, so I don't know what the next song is on this particular... Is this it right here? Yeah, see, Great Tide
It's the end.
is the last song on the record. So the song before that, A Voice Ever Calling Me, damned is he who takes from the hand of my sleeping shadow. Holy moly. Follow the voice, I crush their unbelief. Black wings await the thief.
I cannot get past this. Is so like you guys are gonna be like, why are you're so weird? So last night I've been having like the weirdest, most vivid dreams ever, and I had this dream that like you and I were traveling through this field, but there was like all these like really really bad people, and we were supposed to like eliminate the bad people, and then all of a sudden I
What do you
heard
mean eliminate them?
kill them. We were supposed to kill the bad people.
We were kitted out. We had guns.
Yeah, we had all kinds of stuff. Like it just depended whatever
What was
we
I
needed.
carrying?
I wasn't looking at you. I was looking for what was going on. So anyway, we had to eliminate the bad guys.
I'll tell you if it was authentic dream or not. Continue.
No, it's not authentic. Wait till you hear what happens. And then all of a sudden, I heard this really nasty ripping sound, like something I'd never heard before. And I looked over, and they had ripped, the bad people had ripped open the back of a horse, and they stuck all of their like swords and everything that they were going to kill people with into the back of the horse. But there was like this pure, clear water in the horse. And when I looked in, I felt so sick to my stomach that they had just done that to the horse. And I didn't understand why they were putting their weapons in there, but they were putting their weapons in there. Are you trying to show the little guys?
Yeah.
They put their weapons in there to, like, purify it before they went killing people, so they were using, like, the purity of the animal.
They knew the water was in the horse?
Yeah. Yeah. And then they all stuck their stuff in there. And I was so upset for the horse because I thought, this poor, beautiful horse is just destroyed like that. And so I, like, looked at you with like one eye, and we both knew what needed to be done.
Clack, clack!
These people were gonna pay. No, it was actually more like, well, I don't believe we had like guns. I think it was more like,
boom, boom.
Like they had swords and like, you know, like the big thing with the spikes on the little, like it was
mace.
like, it was like stuff like that we were using, but we were
Shout
gonna
out to
have
John
to
Mace
even
Judas, by the
even
way.
the scoreboard there.
So we did? Did we take him out?
Oh, I'm sure we did. The
Boom,
baby,
boom, boom.
The baby woke me up.
Yeah. Should sick Orion on him. Orion. Boom, boom, boom!
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't start talking from the other room hearing that.
Ooh, Oreo?
Yeah.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
first...
he just said it. Did you hear him? Boom.
We're communicating. The first song on this record is called Raise Hell, right?
Yep.
And if you look at it right here, hear the whipping the slaves singing Jesus saves,
Oh,
you
Jesus.
invented the cage. Raise hell, writhe in the fire, burn. Those that suckle the reins, buy and copulate, you've got fashion for brains, raise hell. So, I think, and again, I think it's you know, the next song is War Cry, Prelude to Madness, Thanatos, blah blah
The
blah.
Never. That's interesting.
So I just think it's like this guy is basically an antichrist figure, in the sense that he occupies Christ's place at the right hand of God, but he doesn't.
Yeah, well, he says, I am the chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says, out of the twisted womb, which is, again, an inversion of the Blessed Mother, because the Blessed Mother had a pure womb. And
he,
you know,
it says he crawls out of it. Yeah, he crawls out of it like...
a child of stone and tainted blood.
Yeah.
You know, which, you know, I think that's probably, you know, the hypostatic union in you know, a remix version of it.
Oh.
And he's talking about tainted blood, which is really interesting because one of the theological reasons for the necessity of the virgin birth, it wasn't just, oh my God, this is miraculous. But the real issue is that from a biblical perspective, original sin is passed on from the Father. So if Jesus would have had a human father, he would have inherited a sinful nature, i.e. tainted blood. So Jesus is God and man simultaneously without any tainted blood. This guy is stone, apparently, and human simultaneously, but he does inherit a sinful nature, basically. There's something wrong with him. And I am the chosen. I'm the one ordained at the right hand of God. The meek will drench the altar. Okay, now that is a very interesting line. Why was that such a,
for me,
holy
so
moly
funny,
line
there
to
they
you?
go. The meek shall inherit the earth is what
Right.
the verse says. But then it's saying that they would drench the altar. So to me, it reminded me of, it says that when it talks about the blood of the saints, like basically the gospel is going to go forward through the blood of the saints.
The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church.
Yeah, so to me it was the meek will drench the altar was they're going to, that's not what he's saying in the song, but it reminded me of that the meek or the followers of Christ, they will end up dying, and through their death, it's going to push forward the message of Jesus, which has been the story throughout human history of Christianity.
And, you know, and for those without a religious background, an altar is a place where you you do your animal sacrifice, right? So you take your sheep, you cut its throat, and it drenches the altar. So the altar is drenched in blood.
I feel like basically everybody that watches our channel would know what an altar was, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Old Testament cult and the rituals were really centered around blood and death. Douglas Wilson said it was worship in the slaughterhouse, which is why you had to have the priests had to be inundated with incense because they were hacking raw animals to pieces all day. Yeah, so like. The meek will drench the altar means that this guy, again, he's an antichrist figure. Now, antichrist doesn't
So he's going to sacrifice the meek.
Right. So the antichrist, the prefix anti and antichrist doesn't, the primary meaning is not against Christ. Rather, it is the person in the place of Christ. Instead of Christ.
In place of.
So
yeah.
This antichrist flips everything on its head, right? So he says the meek will drench the altar. But Jesus said the meek will inherit the earth. But what is interesting is if you go to the book of Revelation, and I think you know where I'm going with this in Revelation, right?
I'm thinking of telling the kids to get the baby because he's stealing like that.
Yeah.
Should I do that?
Yeah, but if you just look at Revelation 6:9, right? When he opened the fifth seal, so John is seeing a vision of God's heavenly temple. And when he opens the fifth seal, Revelation 6:9, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony that they maintained. Right? So that's literally, I mean, this guy is right. The meek shall water the altar or drench the altar.
Yep.
But what's interesting is from the Revelation sense, that is how you actually overcome and inherit the earth.
Right. He says, yeah. By the word of their mouth and what is it?
Right. So look here. So again, guys, here we go with the screen share. Because it's a really interesting theme in Revelation. He opens the fifth seal. John sees, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain. So in the sense they drenched the altar. Because of the word of God and the testimony that they maintained. So they were killed because of the word of God and their testimony. Right?
Yep.
So check this out. Because it's really, really interesting. Because Revelation has so many themes in it. So that was chapter 6. But then you go here, and how are the people characterized? They overcame him, namely the devil, by the blood of the Lamb and the word
of their testimony, and they love not their lives unto death.
Right. So in chapter 6, they are killed, right? And they're under the altar because of the word of God and the testimony they maintain. But in chapter 12, they're overcomers, they're warriors, they're champions. Why? Because of the word of their testimony and the blood of the Lamb, and the fact that they allowed themselves to be killed instead of renouncing their faith.
It's so crazy because the word of their testimony and you just pull it up. The blood it says by the blood of the Lamb
and the word of their testimony.
Yeah. But it has to be by the blood of the Lamb first because their testimony is not enough. It has to start with the blood of the Lamb.
Right.
Oh, that makes me emotional.
That was good. That was really good. Because otherwise you have works righteousness, right? So it's the theology of the New Testament is amazingly consistent. It's unbelievable. So it was funny because we had a chat with the homie Ian. Shout out to Ian. And we were talking about the very real significant problem of evil. And I was talking about biblically there's this thing called the principle of reversal.
Yeah.
Where something horrible happens, but actually what it does is it creates something more positive than the negative thing was negative.
Pause for 1 second on that. So as you were talking to Ian about that, the baby started crying, so I had to leave. I couldn't stay.
Yeah.
So I went in the other room, and then my brother had messaged me while Ian was talking, and he was like, hey, have you ever checked out Todd White? I've only seen one video of his, so I don't know. Maybe he gets very strange, but...
Yeah, he's a strange dude.
Is it strange in a good way or
He's a metalhead, and he is a
metalhead.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Okay, but anyway, so in the video,
our guy knows him.
Oh, really?
The guy that I said, hey, we should give. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows him.
Oh, really?
Damn.
Well, anyway, so so my brother's like, check this guy out and let me know what you think about him. So I go in the room and I start checking out Todd White. Well, at the beginning of his video, again, I don't know a lot about him, so I'm not promoting him because I don't necessarily know, but what I saw was pretty cute. So he goes into this shop and he's like talking to this girl and he ends up praying for her and stuff like that. But anyway, he said a bit of his testimony. I guess that he was a drug dealer, and then a drug deal went bad, and like I can't really remember. I think that like it got really, really bad, and it was in that situation where everything was like, I think life or death, and like that's when he was forced face to face to like meet Jesus. Wow. And then it was in that he was able to hear Jesus, and then that was what changed his life completely. And so it was just crazy because you were talking to him about reversal, and then, you know, I wanted to be in this conversation. That baby cried, I had to go out of here, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Then I saw that, and then I was like, oh, perfect example of reversal. Yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, no, it's a major principle, and if you train your mind to look for it, you see it all over the place. You see it all over the place.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the problem of evil is, why do bad things happen to good people? And the biblical response, well, first the biblical response is there are no good people. There's only one good person, and he volunteered for the bad thing to happen.
We're all trash.
But we're glorious trash.
Right.
Inshallah.
The most glorious.
So like,
no, we're not trash. We're just bad.
We're broken mirrors,
right?
But they're still salvageable and redeemable, inshallah. So, you know, like, bad things happen, but the biblical arithmetic is like, if you had 5 pounds of bad, the good that's going to come out of that is 10,000 pounds of good, right? So there's a bad thing that happens to serve a better and more significant purpose. And you see that here because he says that the meek will flood the altar with their blood or whatever. The meek will drench the altar. And that's meant to say, the meek are going to be slaughtered, and the weak are slaughtered, and all the rest of it. And the Bible says, yup, the meek are going to be slaughtered, and in that itself is the way that we're going to inherit the earth. It is the fact that you've allowed yourself to be slaughtered as a meek person on the altar that gets you to the point where you inherit the earth.
So, Outworld, you were right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, and you know, this principle is, you know, a major part of the New Testament, where Paul says in Romans 8 that we're heirs of God, co-heirs with Christ, provided that we suffer with him so that we can also reign with him. And so, principle of reversal is there. So, to your point, thank you very much, sir.
You know what's interesting too is he said, "I am the one ordained to the right hand of God." So there was a time where there was like, God's people were not doing what they were supposed to do. He gave them certain things by which to live life, and they refused to listen to those things. And so because of that, they brought like bad stuff onto themselves. It's basically the story of all of human history. I've been thinking about that more and more lately, and I'm like, okay, so there are certain things that we do maybe to survive, maybe certain survival skills that we have that that if you like looked at like the biblical design, you'd be like, okay, I shouldn't do this, but you still do it anyway because it brings you certain comforts or helps you in certain ways. But then in the long run, it's actually negative for you and doesn't actually help you in the long run. And so I've just been thinking a lot about how following the rules or the guidelines or whatever that God gave us for his universe sometimes seems frustrating because it's like, wow, okay, like you're just the boss of everybody, you're just going to boss us all around. But then when you actually look at it and you're like, no, actually, you could look at it as bossing, or you could look at it as hacks. And the hacks will help you to have a more peaceful and profitable life. But anyway, so I was thinking about...
I figured that out. If I use that terminology with the boys during the man study, they get very attentive.
The word hack?
I want to know a hack. Yeah. But it's true. Like, that's what the law of God is. It is a hack. It's God saying, this is how the designer made it. So this is how to make the program work the best for you. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point of the law. He says, I'm doing this for your own good.
Right. So I was looking at this now. Okay, so God's people had decided that they weren't going to follow those hacks and they were just going to do their own thing. I can't believe it. And then like all of this turmoil is coming to them. And then it says that God used the Assyrians to go over there and like basically go to war with his people. And so it was like a seemingly bad thing, but then it like reversed them and they got them back. But it was weird because God was behind the Assyrians in their attack on his own people. And so when you look at this, I'm the one ordained to the right hand of God, the meek will drench the altar. There is a sense in which everything, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, whatever universe is there, whatever happens, God ordained it. And so, again, you're right. I mean, God would never ordain him to be at his right hand because that's Jesus' position.
Right.
But you still get the point.
Out of there.
All flesh is torn in the steel hail, souls left to howl in the dark wind, and so the end. The many gods drawn to my side, weave mighty spells, and all for time I dwell with the ether, or for all time. And that's another one. The many gods drawn to my side. That's still biblical. Go ahead.
Suffer like me is such a creepy line to me.
Really?
Like, yeah. Like writhing in pain. Is that how you say that? Writhing?
Yeah.
That to me is like, I think of like childbirth or like somebody that just got shot or something or hacked up. Like writhing in pain is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to writhe in pain. And then that suffer like me. Why? Then he says run, run, run. That's also scary. Like, I don't know. And then it reminds me of the song, the Wackator that you just had us listen to, where at the beginning they were basically saying like the greatest thing is like your own fear. That's
right.
like
right.
What's happening, the Wackator? You better sleep with the lights on, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting because like that's how the record ends.
I wish I knew what that.
Yeah, the Anal Nakroth thing. Whoever gets it first, I'll pin your comment.
Isn't there something in The Lord of the Rings that has a word like that?
Yeah, and there's a lot of like Tolkienian allusions in the metal world because these guys are avid readers. A lot of these
guys
are.
Please fill us in.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I think is weird,
I'm
but simultaneously really cute?
I'm extremely curious as to what those words mean.
The people that are all into like Tolkien's.
I was Googling it before, but I couldn't find it. Yeah.
You know the people that are all into like his language there?
Yeah,
and they can like speak it to each other.
Alvin.
I think that it's kind of like corny but super cute at the same time when two people find themselves together that are like that. And then they can like speak that language to each other, dressed like elves. I don't know. I think it's cute. I'm not going to spend the time to learn the language. Plus, I don't think that the type of person that would attract would be the type of person I'd want to be with, even if I was single.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
Really? Look.
No, I think that they're very odd, but I think it's a cute odd that I like to watch from a distance. But
okay, so somebody put those lyrics up there. It's not Welsh. It looks very much like an attempt at Old Irish. One wonders where following is the best I can do to reconstruct a reasonable Old Irish from it. In Old Irish, Anal Natrak, blah, 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 blah. In English. Okay, here's the translation for that thing. Serpent's breath, charm of death and life, the omen of making. Thy omen of making. There it is. So serpent's breath is the Anal Natrak, I think. And that's the name of the band, I'm sure. Serpent's Breath, which is, again, very interesting because the Hebrew and the Greek word for spirit is ruach and pneuma, respectively. Uh-huh. And they both double for spirit and wind. Or breath. So it can be breath, wind, or spirit, pneuma or ruach. So when it says serpent's breath, that could very well mean that he's indwelt by the spirit of Shaitan.
Creepy.
Which makes a lot of sense because he's a bad guy. This guy, whoever he is, and
he also thinks he's at the right hand of God.
Right. So
sitting in a bit of delusion.
Well, it depends because
or who is the God?
Correct. Sadat. So if this is the Antichrist, then his God would be the devil, and in that case, he would be at the right hand.
But generally speaking, shouldn't that be a lowercase g, or would anybody put a capital G if they think it's?
Well, those are English conventions, capitalizing or non-capitalizing. So
okay, well, there you have.
I mean, good night.
Progressive metal, power metal.
These lyrics had steel.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever.
Hail, so.
We're torn instead of town. You'll be town to shreds. So I am not going to take these guys. Okay. I'm going to give this song a 9.75. It got an entire 1.5 points because of how unique the guitar work was. I love guitar heavy song. And the other thing is, this is the first time I have, usually in a power metal song, they just make the riffs as general as possible because they're trying to feature the vocalist. Because the vocal, and then in the middle you get some very complicated solo or something. That's pretty much the template for power metal. And I'm a guitar person, so that's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of power metal, because it emphasizes the vocals instead of the guitars. This is the first time I've heard a power metal band or a power metal song where the guitarist was like, no, this is gonna be metal. Like, that guitarist is a metal head. Like, we've been to rock shows where the guy's on stage, blah, 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 and he was completely bored. Remember that Aaron Rodgers looking guy? We were right on, and he was just like, he had his hat on. He had like some hat on. It stayed on the whole show.
He did. He had a hat on, but it wasn't even like a hat that like, it wasn't
like,
metal looking at all. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't even know what a metal hat would look like.
Which is fine, but you're just standing there like, but like, you could tell that this, and I feel like when I watch a lot of power metal videos, it's kind of like the guitarist is like,
yeah, retire, my man, retire.
He's in the band because he's got great scale work, so he can do solos, which is but like, this guy, you could tell this guy's a true metalhead. Like, he's listening to hard music and he wants to write hard music. And this band did a really, really good job of, this is the first time I've ever seen like a real emphasis on guitars. And I don't mean, because again, power metal, there's lots of sweeps and harmonics, harmonization between the two guitars or whatever. So I'm not saying that. So in that way they feature it. But what I'm talking about is just that grimy, like metal, like hard, like metal, and like, this is the first time I've seen a band that committed to the metal, while you still have the guy that can, have high vocal range and all the rest of it. So that's why I got that score for me. What did it get for you?
8.9 for me.
Holy moly, that's too low for this guitar.
Well, the thing
goodness.
is, it went from like a 5 to a 9.7, and then I landed at 8.9.
Yeah, it was definitely unique. A little bit of an acquired taste, but I loved it. All right,
there you
are,
have
dear
it.
listener. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.